Your best friend has kept a secret which he is now willing to open up about to you. He tells you, I've actually got to switch off this toggle mute all. I want to hear your thoughts. He tells you he's been secretly in a relationship for the last 3 years. He tells you they are going to get married and he would like you to be his best man or best woman. You find out his secret girlfriend is a blow-up sex doll. Do you agree to be the best man or woman or not? And how do you react? Wow. What a topic.
What a juicy topic.
You never know what you're going to be getting. So, let's start off with Anita Alpaca. Do you agree to be the best man or woman or not? And how do you react?
In utter shock.
No, like I don't know. I mean, I've got to say I'd support my friends, but I just think that's just obscene.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know. I'd probably tell them maybe you need a little bit of counselling. I'd react by signing them up to some counselling.
Thank you. Let's go over it. It normally starts like this, where it's like, I don't know, yes, no, and then as we go along this the people, it becomes more deeper, and then the ones that started have more to say. So that's why your allow hand raise participation is right over there for you. Let's go to Just Average.
Hello. Right. Firstly, do I agree to be the best man? Of course. I've got to support. You got to support your friends. If you go to the wedding, you also get free food. You can't turn down free food. Sure, it is a bit messed up that it is a blow-up doll, but to each their own. Who am I to tell him he can't, bang a blow-up doll? I mean, if I wanted to marry a donkey, I'm sure, they'd be just as supportive. But I'm not going to marry a donkey. That was just an example before anyone gets any ideas.
That goes into another field.
Yeah. I do it for the free food.
Excuse the pun.
Oh, I just got that. That went right over my head. Yeah.
I said it goes into another field, and then I said, excuse the pun.
Nice one.
Regarding the donkey.
Nice one.
Sorry.
Ali's used to it because she lives in Greece, and in those days, Greeks used to marry donkeys.
No.
So
this is gonna be a great debate tonight. I'm waiting for some more answers. I'm on a roll. Thank you very much. That was awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, you guys crack me up. Okay, next one.
Thane. Megaphone is yours shortly. Thane, hi and welcome.
Hey there. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Super, loud and clear.
Excellent.
Perfect. All right. So listen, they're my best friend. I'm definitely going to support them in pretty much anything they do. I am going to question them about it. Absolutely, cuz that raises some eyebrows. But I cannot disagree with what Just Average just said about the free food. I mean, absolutely I'm going to go and have a blast, right? Have fun with it. That's my take on it.
Definitely, super. That's so awesome. Thank you, Thane. Dylan, hi, welcome. Let me give you the megaphone. Dylan, megaphone's yours.
It's
Hi.
funny, in the Norwegian language and the Dutch language, they have a saying that you're free to do whatever you want as long as you don't hurt anyone else. So I think this would be allowed, but I can't imagine a priest doing this. But it's funny, this could be a real scenario in Japan, because in Japan there are a lot of people that are isolated, that have dolls as girlfriends, and I saw a documentary about it, and oh my god, these dolls, they was so dirty and beat up. So I hope at this wedding they at least wash the doll down. But I don't know what kind of what kind of priest would perform at a wedding like this. Maybe it's an alt space wedding, I don't know. But if it's a friend, if this is the kind of friend that would go with the doll, then I would support that friend. I mean, if Britney Spears can go to Las Vegas and get married at a drive-in wedding for 24 hours, anybody can do what they want.
All right.
Wow, it was drive-in? That I didn't know. You learned something new.
I feel like I need to interject, Ali, host privileges, so that I can share a little bit of information at a time while we go through everyone, because this is the only question we have tonight. And that is exactly as Dylan said, that, you know, people are doing anything nowadays. The first thing I want to go to is, Ali, do you remember when we had one of these wedding type events and there was a quote that we all said and we loved it? What do you remember that quote?
No. I remember going to the wedding event in Outspace, but not the quote.
We said love is love, right?
Oh, in our event.
In our event. And yet I feel like today people aren't feeling that love is love. What do you think? Okay, so let me tell you this, guys. And that is that, just like Dylan was saying, that people are marrying strange things nowadays. And it's true, because just a few weeks ago, we had that guy from Kazakhstan, what's his name, Yuri, who dated a sex doll for 18 months. And then he popped the question. And then he got married to, well, he doesn't like calling it a sex doll. He likes calling it a love doll. But he's got in his head an entire history of what this doll has. I wish Azzy was here. An entire history of what the doll was doing before they got married, before they started dating. For example, she had a waitressing job and she can't cook and she's got walking problems. And so he's created this imaginative lady, and whatever, if you call it a borderline personality or mental issues, I'm not too sure. But that is like also not even a bad example of where a man has married an inanimate object, because there's an Australian lady who, believe it or not, has married a bridge. And there's a Japanese man who's married a hologram. So that's enough for interjection around here. Ali, I think you're like,
can I just
what?
ask a question?
Yes.
No, all cool. I was just joking about the donkey in the field earlier, not what we're talking about.
I wasn't.
I wanted to ask.
I wasn't.
The Yuri guy that's married his sex doll, is the sex doll plastic or is it a robotic sex doll?
Okay, good question. So his one, in this case, I think is plastic. But there are these love dolls that are created in Japan, and they're actually called real dolls. And they are, okay, so
robotic.
It's kind of robotic, but not yet. So what happens is these people are falling in love with these silicone-based sex dolls, or love dolls, sorry. And they're paying a lot of money for it. So they're paying from like $6,000 up to $100,000 for these dolls. So you can see how much they invest in themselves in that. And they are hoping, some of them, not all of them, but they are hoping that one day the AI, they will be able to put emotions and AI inside this doll to create those emotional bonds with their clients. So I think that's amazing.
They also have doll brothels in Tokyo. And apparently if the doll pops, you know, and runs out of air, you get your money back.
Wow.
What type of... could you repeat that? I lost you there for a few seconds.
Yeah, they have doll brothels in Japan. And if it's a doll that's like filled with air and it pops and goes flat, you get your money back.
Yeah, so this is serious stuff right here. Let's go to Neil 1. Neil the 1 hasn't spoken yet, but I would like to bring him on because it seems like he's eager. Neil the 1.
Hello.
First, you got to answer the question.
Hi, welcome.
If it was me.
Yes. Would you be the best man or best woman at your best friend's wedding who's marrying a love doll? I feel like I shouldn't say sex doll now.
Has have I discussed with him about, like, you know, going to see a therapist?
All up to your interpretation as to your choices. So what would you do?
Definitely need to get counselling, but with the sex, I'd need to talk to the sex doll.
You would need to talk to the sex doll.
Yeah, obviously I need the two sides.
Oh.
So she
Okay.
consents.
Yeah, alright. Let's go to... that just took a very quick turn. I can't see who's next to Dylan. Is it Kristen or is there someone else? Thanks, Dylan. Let's go to Kristen. Good to see you. Hello there.
You're the one, I loved it. Awesome. Kristen, hi.
Kristen, we summon you.
There we go.
See, you got to say those words.
I
Hi.
can't help but laugh. No, I wouldn't be.
Not a good friend of
the
you.
best man or the best woman. I mean, it's a freaking doll. I would make them go to therapy. Like, you gotta go to therapy because this is not normal. I think it's kind of funny that we're trying to normalize it. Love is love. It's a doll. Like, if you love a doll, there's a problem. Like, if I'm their best friend or whatever I am to them, I would hope if I was in that situation that they would try to get me help too. Like, immediately get me help before it turned into a wedding.
18 months is a long time to date.
Consent, you know, can dolls consent? If they can't, is it a relationship? Like, no.
Well,
The short answer is definitely not.
Let me tell you this, and I don't have the statistics. Like I said, I'm going to be interjecting every now and then because I have read quite a bit about this. And that is one of the most common things that have been left behind at a hotel are not only sex dolls, but are also stuffed animals. And when people did a study with their stuffed animals, for adults who left their stuffed animals, it was due to the fact that they feel a bond that they cannot explain with others. And they've either gone through three different things. The first thing is a form of trauma, where they can hear inanimate voices or, for example, dolls or animals talking to them, or spirits, which is very common.
Thinking.
Yes, magical things talking to them. The second thing is the loneliness that people have acquired over the years, and they cannot find a way to bond with human interaction. So they're lonely, but they can't feel fulfilled with humans. And the third thing is that they've been through a very bad breakup, or they have broken up with their spouses have died, for example, and they refuse to replace another human being. So these are just some of the things that I've picked up.
But when you say all of that, Timon, sorry to even interrupt. When you say all of that, the first thing that pops in my mind for all three of those situations is therapy.
Yes.
Like, they need to see somebody to figure out what's causing their loneliness, to heal the trauma, or to get, you know, past whatever ails them that made them fall in love or gain comfort with this inanimate object. We can't just normalize it and say, oh, well, because they experienced trauma, or oh, well, because they're lonely, or because they're experiencing some sort of magical thinking, it's okay. It's not okay.
Yeah.
Get in therapy, resolve the issues, and step away from the doll.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Kristen.
You said that.
Yeah, Kristen's very emphatic about that. Let's head over to the next person. Ali, you can help me. I can't see. Is it Giorgio Dali? Giorgio Dali.
I see Dr. Gonzo next.
Okay, I don't know.
Are you here?
I don't. I see Giorgio. No, Dr. Gonzo's in front. Let's go to Giorgio Dali. Giorgio Dali, please answer the question. Do you agree to be your best friend's best man or best woman or not at a blow up sex doll's wedding or not? And how do you react? And why is there so much reaction taking place in this dilemma today? We're going to start kicking people. Okay, go for it.
All right.
Giorgio.
I would say I would not support my best friend in this decision. I feel like, I don't know if we could classify this as sociopathic behavior, but you know, there's a part of this is like there's live and let live, and there's also inviting people into your dysfunction. And I feel like my best friend, by asking me to do this, would be inviting me into his dysfunction. And everyone's saying get therapy, and I think that's 100% what needs to happen. I think that there's so many issues underlying this, and for me it's like to be a best friend is to say go get help, as opposed to playing along and making these situations a little bit worse for that person. And that's all I have to say.
Awesome.
That's very interesting. In these studies with these dolls and people that fell in love with inanimate objects, when they went and got brain scans, they were found that they had normal brain. They didn't have mental issues. They didn't have mental disorders. So it's something deeper that we don't know. And what I do know is that there's something called technosexuals, and those are people who are attracted to robots. And there will be a time where we will be dating and marrying robots based on AI, because we'll be able to create our ideal woman or man according to our own personalities. Okay, let's go to Ace of Hearts.
Just to back up what you say here, AI is coming a long way. They are trying to integrate AI as close to the human as possible concerning emotion, the way we react, the way on a deeper level, much more deeper than it just being a machine or a computer. So this is what we're talking about.
Yes, where it takes in all the information, adapts and grows, and builds the data that's within it. So they'll know you better than all of your spouses put together. All right.
That technology already exists with everything that they are gathering through our interaction and our statistical data.
Let's go on. Okay, Ace of Hearts.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
So my thoughts on this, I have two thoughts. First being that the social agreement you enter into when you become friends with somebody is that you look for ways to come to common grounds and understanding, and to support that person even when it seems like they've gone up the deep end. And what I've heard is a lot of people saying that they would tell their friend to get help, tell their, seek counseling instead of trying to understand that person and maybe be able to cut through the weeds a little bit better. That's something to me that is a human quality that has kind of been lost over the ages, especially with technology and the way that it's come in. We've lost the ability to connect completely and come to an understanding so that we can see through another person's eyes. I don't quite agree that this person may be in love with an inanimate object, but I would love to understand. I would love to understand what it is. And you said with the brain scan that they have normal brains, so that there's something deeper going on here. The second thing that I believe is the thing going on with this would be our human nature is to avoid problems. So when we're in a comfortable situation, we're all in a VR space from everywhere around the world. We don't have very many problems. So what we do as humans is we create problems. This to me seems like a problem that was created so that a solution could come about, but it's just that need, the internal need for a problem to exist that's driving your friend to want to be in love with something that it shouldn't be, or he or she should not be.
Yeah. So the most common cause for falling in love with an inanimate object is due to the fact that these people are at the highest level of ego, where they date these inanimate objects because they refuse to be wrong. They know that they're... Yes?
Are you in love with an inanimate object?
No, I'm not. Not at all.
So what you see, where I was getting with the whole first statement is that there is a lack of connection to true understanding of the people who are in that situation. What you're speaking is textbook. What you're speaking is...
I'm speaking through interviews. I'm speaking through interviews, through different case studies.
Is there anybody in here who is in love with a sex doll, who could speak from?
That would be amazing. That would be...
Those are the people who would be best suited in this conversation. We as outsiders only get to look. We don't actually get to touch it. We don't actually get to feel the emotion. We don't actually get to embrace the reality of it. So putting a label on it and saying this is how it is or why it is or where it comes from, I don't think that we can even begin to talk about that.
I think...
And we're also not in the person's shoes and haven't experienced the person's experience and seeing things through their eyes, so we can't...
Obviously we're not, so by all that, I assume Ace of Hearts, you would be the best man to this wedding. Is that correct?
I would work through a lot of things mentally to try and understand. I don't believe it's legal to marry an inanimate object. If it was, I would look into laws and try and look under their understanding of why it's legal and why he or she go through with it. And I would just work from a place to understand. I live with my best friend, been brothers for 15 years, and we argue, we all come to a mutual understanding. We're talking even about points.
All right.
And that's what makes us best friends.
Awesome. Thank you. Empathy at the highest level. Thank you, Ace of Hearts. Next we have is Sabina. You have the opportunity to speak or pass. Do you agree to be the best woman or not, and how do you react? No? Skip. Okay. All right, let's move over to Sasha. Opportunity to speak or pass. Hi.
Oh, I guess I'll speak. I didn't come in here to speak, but I will say that I agree 100% with Ace of Hearts. To sit on the outside and judge because it's not something that you're into. Sorry, I'm sitting outside enjoying the weather, but I personally would seek understanding because there are so many fetishes out here in the world. This is one of them. I mean, there are people who are in Japan buying panties and vending machines, sniffing them. So I mean, I can't judge this, you know. So I guess I would be that friend that's coming from a place of understanding because who am I to judge? I got my own shit, but that's just me.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Yellow Majesty.
Yellow Majesty, congratulations on your album release. Congrats. Woo.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
Good luck. I hope all goes well. Make sure to check him out on the internet. Yellow Majesty.
Thank you for those words. Thank you. So this social dilemma, is it when a fetish turns into reality or transcends into something called love? Let me see what I would do. Sorry for the background noise. I'll just turn it off. Where's the music coming from?
That's coming from me.
Yeah. Okay, good. I was not the only one. Anyway, so the question is, well, I think most of the things that need to be said has already been said. I think the point that Ace of Hearts had here is based on a phenomenological perspective, a first-hand experience perspective, and of course we need to delve into the life world of this human being in order to get a full perceptual understanding. But how easy is that in reality? Very difficult, regardless of subject or phenomena. There are perhaps other ways of understanding this person. So, well, I'm in love with my guitars. It's not the same love as it is in this case. So I think there are different nuances to what love is and how it can be established. But in this case, it's quite peculiar because this lunatic is actually going to marry his sex doll. And as a best friend, first of all, I would ask him if this sex doll, how old she is, and if he is eligible to marry her or not, and just start to ask these silly questions to see how far he is prepared to go with this. Just listen to his answers, like ask him really serious questions about all this and see how serious he is about marrying this sex doll, and if he has thought through all of the implications or not. If he is on a rational level convincing enough, what can I say? If he's made up his mind and his arguments make sense to him, go for it. I would probably not support him as a best man nor as a best woman, because so scenario for me would be quite delusional, I think, for me personally. But I would respect this choice. All
right. Thank you, Your Majesty. So we've got two types of people, Ali. We've got the empaths, and we have those that are very fixed in the ways that they're delusional, right? And I was going with both ways. And then what Ace of Hearts said, for the first time in my life, I actually decided to shut up. So thank you for that. That is what these discussions are about, where I am completely on the fence and I'm not fixed with what this is. But what I can tell you is it's not a new human construct. And it's not something that is just because there's sex dolls all of a sudden. This has been going on for thousands of years. It actually comes from a Greek word called agalmatophilia, which means it's friendship or love for statues. And people used to fall in love with their work of art and their masterpieces and whatever they invested in, and they fell more and more in love until it became a relationship. So this is something, but where Ace of Hearts did shut me up is that it is a spectrum. Each individual situation is completely different. So we can't speak for all. Thank you for that. Let's go to Alzai. Alzai. Alzai, feel free to speak or pass. The question is behind you. We're waiting consent. No?
Hi.
All right, I don't know if you want to speak or not.
And I just want to remind you, if you are under 16, this event is for if you are over 16 years old.
Definitely. Alzai, you want to speak or pass? I'll take that as a no. Okay, let's go to Halion Aeon. Still don't know if I'm saying that right.
Alien Aeon, yes. Hi. And the megaphone's yours.
Yeah. Okay. 2 parts. Well, just to lighten the mood, I think I'd reluctantly admit to my friend that I too have been in a relationship with that very same sex doll, and that he shouldn't marry it because it will never be faithful to him. So that might put him off, but never mind. But a bit more seriously, I do think that it's possible that for humans to be in love, it depends what you mean love, it's various different nuances on that, but it's quite conceivable that in the future it may well be that humans can be intellectually in love with, say, an AI. Eventually, AIs will have access to maybe the memories of several people, maybe a long lost love or something like that. And it's not inconceivable that you become intellectually in love with an AI system.
Yeah.
I think in the case of a sex doll, well, that's a bit ridiculous because it doesn't really achieve anything much. But I'm sure there's better ways to go on that one. But the other thing I was wondering is something that may come up as well in this sort of environment is, could you fall in love with an avatar? And regardless of the person behind it, presumably they would be talking. But if you were then later to meet the person, you wouldn't be in love with them, but you could actually be enamored by their avatar. Do you think that's something which will come up as well? It's just a question there.
I just want to clarify what you said. Do you the avatar as an image or personality behind the avatar? Because
sorry,
I'm
having trouble hearing you there. Sorry. You said that again, Ali.
Ali, put a double megaphone.
I don't have a double megaphone.
Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to ask, can you hear me better now?
Consistently, yes. It's still a bit quiet.
I mean, I can hear you, Ali. Very loud.
Oh, I've turned you up. Sorry. Yeah.
So when you say they fall in love with the avatar as an image,
It's a question.
or the personality behind the avatar?
Well, that's why I was bringing it up, because there's the two parts. There is the person behind, which if you met them, you might not fall in love with them, say, but that same person as an avatar, could you conceivably fall in love with them represented as an avatar? I mean, people fall in love with people they don't really know. They may have some secret behind them, but could still fall in love with them. So it implies that the same person, you could possibly fall in love with an image, but not with a person, or vice versa. And it's just something which is going to come up because VR is going to be more and more realistic. I mean, and the avatars are going to get more and more beautiful, I suppose, in many respects. I mean, they're already quite cute, some of them, but it's going to happen, isn't it, over the next 10, 20 years? You can imagine that avatars are going to become more and more interesting.
Yeah.
As you look at them, and of course they'll have people behind them, and you'll probably tell if that's a nice person. But it's just a question, and I'm just extending
I would put
your question there.
I would put two parts. The first thing is that falling in love with an avatar and not the actual person's looks is very similar to the modern day of catfishing. Catfishing is where people fall in love with another persona's image that suits their compatibility rather than who they actually are. So, overweight women, for example, or overweight men show beautiful pictures of hunky men and more slimmer women to other men, and then they fall in love. So yes, that is very possible. The second thing is that, which just came to mind, is what about people with multiple personality disorders and a form of schizophrenia? I think more multiple personalities, but where they can assign different personalities inside those sex dolls. Just something that I thought about. That's when you can maybe start understanding on another level. Before we go to Dr. Sam, I want to just do a little commercial break before Dylan disappears and goes clubbing. Don't go, Dylan. Don't you go. All right. And that is tomorrow. Wow, 4 people just disappeared. They hate the word commercial. Tomorrow, I will be running. I have the honor of speaking at an event called Educators in VR. and it's the same time like today, but tomorrow. So come through to the event. Basically, I'm going to be giving pointers and tips on what I do to run events, audience engagement, keeping people around, choosing events of your passion, creating events. So feel free to join, set a reminder, go into the Old Space events, and it'll be great to see you all there. And that's my commercial for today. Let's head over.
And if you like our events, feel free to like us on the panel on the left. You are here. Go to the event and rate.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Let's head over to Dr. Sam.
Good evening, Ali. Good evening, Timon.
Oh, good evening.
Hi,
everybody here. Yeah, great question. I mean, it's you didn't invent this question, because I mean this is has been on Facebook for a couple of months now. This bodybuilder from Kazakh who went and married a sex doll. So it's nothing new, and I'm sure we're going to see this trend. So if my best friend approached me with this question, with this dilemma, I mean, the first thing I would certainly say is ask him, why has he kept it a secret? I mean, if he's openly going to marry a doll, an inanimate object, why has he kept it a secret? And specifically from me, who's been his friend for many years. So that's the first approach I would have. The second is that if my best friend has exhibited no other deviations, he's a perfectly normal person who contributes to society, goes to work every day, and I have never noticed any deviation, I would have to accept that my friend, like many other people, has a sexual deviation. And there are a number of sexual deviations that occur. And the medical term is paraphilia.
Yes.
And one of the things of paraphilia is the agalmatophilia that Timon was talking about, the desire for an inanimate human-looking object. And I would have to accept it, as we accept many other people who have sexual deviations and are normal people, but when it comes to their sexual needs, it's different from everybody else. We would accept it. And I would ask him who is coming to the wedding. Are your parents coming to the wedding? And if it's a normal wedding, I would concede and say yes. You know, we've been friends. I don't think it's appropriate. You know, there are reasons, because people get married, in fact, to have children. It's a biological need. So you don't have to make a spectacle of yourself. Hang around with a doll. You don't have to get married. Bring her to the restaurant if you want. Bring her to the nightclub if you want. But why go through the exhibitionism? But yes, I would certainly be best man. Thanks, Timon.
Unless the love doll's in control, and she's the one that says, "Why have we not got married yet? You need to put a ring on it."
Yeah.
Where's my next diamond ring?
Look, you know, that's a tongue-in-cheek statement you're making, Timon. But I can tell you that when artificial intelligence is improved and our computers move away from a binary computer to a quaternary computer, and those quaternary computers are put into avatars or put into these robots like Sophie, you're going to have great difficulty distinguishing between a human and one of these silicone dolls.
Very true. There's a few movies that are around.
Will they?
Yes, there's a few movies. Look up the movie Her. Her is a typical example of a man who marries an artificial intelligent robot.
Bicentennial Man as well.
Yeah, that's another one. But that's a little bit far into the future where there's sentience. As soon as there's sentience, we're in another level of technology. So Dr. Sam said something paraphilia, and the most common paraphilia is where women do not, when their husbands die, for example, or pass away, and they just will not go and settle for another man. And I actually have seen these photographs where the women take a photograph of their husband and their coat, and they hang it on the chair while they're sitting at their favorite restaurants, and they have a conversation. Well, she has a conversation with him, and obviously there's no reciprocation, but because of all the years that they've been together, it's actually very sad.
Let go.
Yeah, they don't let go, and many women do that. Dr. Sam wants to say something probably on that.
Yes, Tim. I mean, as much as we sit in this room and we are judgmental, and we are saying that whatever this person is doing with a sex object is probably abnormal, and is purely because he wants to go through the motions of getting married, this marriage, which of course can never be legal. He can always deflate this doll at any one time. He can go and marry a normal person. But I had an interesting experience where, as a young man who came from a very conservative country, autocratic country, I managed to go to Holland, and I must have been in my early 20s, and I went into a sex shop. And in that sex shop, you can imagine, to my surprise, because I'd never heard of a sex shop, I made a fool of myself in the sex shop, and it was actually thrown out because I didn't understand what was going on. But in that sex shop were dildos. In that sex shop were rubber vaginas that people use to satisfy them sexually. So all this person has done has taken an inanimate object and in a human form, instead of just part of an anatomy. So this has been going on, as you said, for thousands of years. Thank you.
And now there are these dildos, Ali, you're going to be shocked. There are these dildos that you can fill up the ashes of your dead husband, and you can pleasure yourself with your dead husband's ashes inside a dildo.
Moving on.
Okay.
Next up is Ultra Funky Clay.
Yeah.
Would love to hear your opinion.
What would you do, Ultra Funky? Takes necrophilia to the next level.
Gosh.
All right.
Ultra Funky. Oh, there we go. Sorry.
Okay, there we are. There we are.
Sorry about this.
How can I go on from this? Wow. Yeah. I just will talk about movies. Interesting. There is a movie with Al Pacino called Sim 1 or Sim On. Just so you know, if you want to watch movies like that, and her, like Timon said, so there's movies about this people falling in love with simulators or dolls. That kind of stuff. To the topic. I'm thinking like this. First, I need to know if this person is joking. If that's a person that tries to push boundaries. If this is really real, that this person is gonna marry this doll. Just so I know where I'm standing. And the next thing is like, that's my best friend. So I'm thinking like, he is me and I'm him in one way. We know each other because we have similar things we think about, we talk about, we do. So I really need to understand him, and that makes me maybe understand myself a little bit, or vice versa. Like you really need to have this discussion. It's not only important for him; it's important for you too. That's how I see it, and I'm thinking like. See here if I remember, it's just like we talk about it like the person is have some disorder or sick on somehow. If we take that away and say instead that okay, maybe it's not normal, but we don't have to assume the worst thing about it, that the person is trying to do this, and just have the conversation in the way that we have the conversation.
we start trying to help, that I will start to help him first, and then if I cannot, I will go further to help this person, you know, or have this conversation, or invite other people to have this conversation. But I think that maybe we shouldn't throw him under the bus the first thing we do with this. I would for sure not agree to being a best man or woman, because I had to understand the person, and I wouldn't react in a bad way about this, or laugh, or be sad, or angry, or everything. I probably just need to take it from where it is, where we're standing right now, and just handle the situation, because reacting can be so wrong. Reacting is always like something you do on some information you're carrying with you or knowledge you're having. That's why you react on a thing, because you don't normally. I see it like you don't agree, but I wouldn't try to react. That's my main thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, it's like that famous saying, the problem is not the problem, it's how you're going about the problem. I love that quote.
React, definitely.
Yeah, the reaction. Okay, now the table is open. So let's listen to what you have to say based on what we've heard. Kristen.
I should say I've been mirrored. I don't know what that means. I don't know. Even after listening to everybody, I still like, what is a relationship? What is a marriage? It's the shared connection with people. It's people that are connected. And I mean, sex is sex. That's really what it is. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but that's all it is. Like, I hear everybody wanting to understand it, but I mean, why are they taking it to marriage level? It really, like, there is no deeper meaning to it other than sex. You feel connected because the hormones that are being produced when you have sex with this doll it just seems so weird to me that, like, there's so many people here trying to rationalize the love of a doll to marry it. Like, by all means, do what you gotta do, but to marry it, like, how do we get to that point where we're okay with marrying a doll? You know, like, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. And that's it.
Thank you. Super.
Okay,
let's
go to just average.
Hi, yeah, I just want to say, this sort of reminds me of, so I'm 72 years old, and 40, 50 years ago, it was not acceptable for gay couples to get married. It was also not acceptable for males to transition to females, females to transition into males. What's any different than someone now marrying a blow-up doll than it is to have gay couples marry? I mean, if I want to play my PlayStation, I can play my PlayStation. If the bloke wants to play with his sex doll, he can play with his sex doll. I mean, so me, I'm into some messed up rubbish, man. But I won't go any further into that. But it might not be acceptable now. But if I live to 100, they might accept it. Who knows? Because society changes, doesn't it? Society doesn't stay the same over a period of time. And I feel like this is what's going to happen again.
You know what? I agree. We've got to go back to that movie that I actually didn't mention this movie. It's called Lars and the Real Girl. And as I told you, Real Girl is, they make dolls that look more human and create like emotional bonds with their clients. And Lars fell in love with this woman who was able to converse with, where he could believe that he was talking to her and she was talking back. And it was due to his insecurities that he believed he could never find anybody else. And he says, you know what, with these gynoids, I think they're called gynoids, they won't cheat, they won't criticize, they won't disagree, and he will never have his heart broken again. But now, like I'm saying, if you can, I think there is a limit. Who's this? just average. I think there is a limit as to if you cannot give consent, then you shouldn't go ahead with it. So for example, marrying a sex doll, that's cool. Marrying a bridge, a hologram, that's all right. But for example, if it goes to the point where you start marrying animals, I actually think that is complete cruelty, and that should not be allowed at all. So just an example. Okay, let's head over to someone that we haven't heard from today. Spring.
Oh, finally.
Hello.
Hello.
Where are you? You got to pop onto the couch if you want to talk. If you popped onto the couch, we would have seen you.
Oh, I was just there. Oh,
There we go.
okay.
On the couch now.
Right. 3 years. That's what keeps sticking in my head. Where have I been for those 3 years that my friend can fall in love with a plastic doll? I just can't comprehend, to tell you the truth. I don't even know where I begin. It has to be like a very gentle thing because he's my best friend. 3 years? How could I not see that? Would be another question. And then, I don't know, some people said getting therapy or her therapy. I don't know. And another thing, that it's taken this long for him to come out with it makes me wonder, do you not trust me, or trust issues come into it? My part, his part? There's a lot of questions there before I can even comprehend, and yet when I first heard the question, I couldn't stop laughing, to tell you the truth. But at the same time, seriously, this is my best friend we're talking about. I don't know, man. It will be very difficult. Very, very difficult.
Spring, I think something you got to know is that it's sometimes not about you. So think about 10 years ago.
No, it's not about me.
Think about
what I'm saying is I'd have to really handle this really gently because this
Yes.
person is my best friend.
Yes, and coming out to you about this is a big issue because 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's a big thing. It's a big thing for him as well.
10 years ago, like no one, people didn't come out to their parents that they were gay in those days when it wasn't socially acceptable. Now it's not a problem at all. Now we're entering into the transgender side where they're coming out as that, and then and now it's even a more now it's a taboo topic with inanimate objects. With the sex thing, that was a social construct based on temporary issues with religion and I don't know, ego. But now this is something where that they actually came out to you about this. And that's very special if you think about it.
It's a big thing, isn't it? Yeah,
it's a big thing. All right. Thank you so much, Spring, and hope to see you around at the other events. Let's go to Theano Rare.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. All right. So, I feel like this is just a false false equivalence, comparing homosexuality to the whole sex doll situation, because unlike homosexuals, a sex doll is not a sentient being. So, like, there's nothing wrong with having a sex doll if that's your thing, but it's not a person. And pretending that it's a person, acting as though it's a person, that's mental illness. And like Spring suggested, this person needs therapy. So it's not, just a society thing where we haven't learned to accept it. It's like it's a difference of a doll's not a person.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Point made. Good point. Next we have is Zoe2111.
Hi guys.
Hi.
I completely get that. Exactly your point. You may need some kind of help because it's not a person, but there's a lot of people out there that don't know what a person is, interaction wise.
That is that the point, Zoe?
Yeah, for now.
I think what Theodore Ree said. First, I've got to say that I didn't compare the homosexuals and the inanimate objects. I gave an example on the difficulty of. No, I'm just saying to Theodore that I was giving the example of the difficulty to mention something that is not acceptable. For me, homosexuality has been acceptable as long as there's been humans and animals, because it's been around, and love is love. Zoe, the point that I think Theonore said, where you said, what is a person, is that there has to be some type of sentience. And sentience...
And we lost you, we can't hear you.
Can you not hear me? Hello?
Now I can hear you.
Oh gosh, this happens. Yes. I don't know why this happens. So, Zoe, what Theonore said is that there has to be some form of sentience. So it's not just being a person, but it's being a sentient being. And sentient is another word for being conscious of how you... And she's out. Okay. Fine. That's good. We've got 7 more minutes left. Let's go to other people that we haven't spoken to. C-Z-A-R-A. Cesara.
Hi. Yeah, I actually experienced this with a family member.
Wow.
And
awesome.
It was really difficult for me. I was raised in a really strict religious household. And my sister came out as being gay. So for me, this is something, and you'll get the point at the end. So it was, I told her, no, you're not gay. You're just hanging out with these people and you're just acting like these people. And the more that you hang out with these people, the more you become like these people. And I was very upset and I did not understand. And I lost the relationship with my sister for a couple of years. And then I grew up and, you know, had experiences and learned what it was like to find true joy in my own life. I had to make a lot of changes and it came with a lot of hurts. And then my sister decided she was going to become a man. And so for me, that shocked me so harshly because I'm no longer in this strict religious world, but my mind's still trying to understand and develop the things that are happening around me in a non-religious way, in a way as a person would, you know, normal person would do it without the other rules and regulations. So I took it in a manner of, I love you, whatever you choose to do, I understand. Well, the more that I found my own peace and my own joy, the more I understood what it was like to have to change your world to find that peace and joy. So when she went through the surgeries and went on the hormones, I found a glow in her because she finally was able to look in the mirror and go, I see myself. And so in this experience with the sex doll and wanting to be the best man or best woman, I would accept this as something that they're going through. In my own mind, I would say, you know, this doesn't seem okay. This doesn't seem appropriate. There is something wrong, but they're my best friend. And so from the point of trying to find that true joy in your own life and not needing to understand why their true joy is this, it's just they were given that. This is who they are. This is who they are when they came into the world, and they have to find that balance, and their balance is different than your own balance. And so when I accepted that and saw these changes and changed her name and called her him and all of that, it was very difficult, and I still am going through my own traumas of changing my brain over, because for me she's still my beautiful sister. And to look at her as a man it's difficult for me to see my beautiful sister, but she's still there. She's not anything different. I can't see her as I used to. So I'm still trying to accept that. But if we come in the way of, if this person needs to find their true joy and their true joy is maybe this, then I would accept it. And then I probably would dig a little deeper into, maybe there are some things that they need to work through and I can be there. And now I can understand a little bit better why there were some things that he wouldn't talk to me about. And if that person finally was able to feel comfortable enough to come to me, then I should feel honored. And as in going to the wedding, I'm not sure. I think I'd have to have several conversations with this person so they could kind of understand where I was coming from. But again, it's all about finding that true joy. And I would want to be part of that person's life as they were in that progress of finding that joy. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you for sharing that story and experience, Cesar. That's really amazing. When you enter into empathy, it is just the greatest dimension of happiness that you can enter. Very well done to you as well. Empathy is a great thing to have. Crafty woman.
Okay, you might not exactly like what I gotta say, but if you got friends that are like that want to marry plastic, then maybe you need to think about what kind of friends you want. Because I try to have healthy relationships with my friends, and if I got somebody running around screwing plastic and wanting to marry him, screwing is one thing, but wanting to marry him, I mean, obviously they've got some mental problems. And my ass would be up in their face telling them they need to speak to a psychologist, psychiatrist, or whatever. And if you want to continue being my friend, you need to start going, I'll go with you or whatever. But obviously there's some major things going on with you. The whole sanctimony of marriage is between two people. It's not between a person and a piece of plastic. Whether they're gay or not has nothing to do with it. I'm all for, if you're in love with somebody, you're in love with somebody. Not a piece of plastic that can't give you an opinion, can't give you their thoughts, can't tell you they love you, can't cook you dinner, can't kiss you, something fake and not real. And it's just, to me, it's not worth having friends like that don't want to, that don't want to see reality, because that, in condoning that, is just going to make it worse.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
That's just me.
Yeah. We need the mother hen in the room. Okay. Now we have Ali. What would you do? I completely forgot about us.
Well, I want to put a thought out there. Not that the one thing is the same as the other, but we've all had friends that have been in very abusive relationships and they haven't been able to get out, right? Yet we still continue to support them and be there for them. I mean, the sex doll is giving your friend pleasure in their mind. What is it to us to judge? What do we care? They are happy for whatever reasons they are getting the happiness from. To answer the question, my initial reaction would be, firstly, are you serious? Not in a sarcastic way, but in a very humble way, trying to see if they are joking or if they are serious. And if I did realize that they are serious and for some reason they get happiness out of the sex doll, why not? I mean, you are your best friend's best friend because you love and support them no matter what, no matter the highs, no matter the lows, just like a true friend should be. If they were in an abusive relationship, you would still, in a way, support them, even though they are getting abused and they are getting really, really badly treated, right? But in this case, they're getting happiness out of it. So what is it to us to judge?
Yeah.
Okay. And on the other hand, love is in different aspects. We love our animals, we love our whatever, we love things in our lives, right? Yes, it's not a romantic kind of love. Maybe it's a caring type of love. it's not in our position to judge. So what I would do, I would go ahead with it. I would definitely become best lady, best woman, and support my friend being a guy or a girl. I wouldn't judge. I mean, if they are happy, that's what counts at the end of the day. But I would suggest if they would try find somebody as well.
Yeah.
Before that. So yes, that's what I would do. How would you react, Mr. T?
Well, I mean, first of all, you've got your emotions and you've got logic. So the emotions is obviously, what? Are you serious? And the logic is, let's not ruin this person's moment of happiness, and let's go about it. And in time, learn to understand why this person is going through it, what went, what went through their mind, and then see if you can ease them very easily to either a therapy or talk to them or research it, get a bigger understanding before you just say no. So I would definitely be the best man. I would react with just excitement. I would be the actor to act with excitement that he actually mentioned this to me, because it is a very rare condition. But just because it's rare does not mean it is not out there. It is out there. And it's unfortunate for some people over here that you have to be the friend who's got the so-called crazy friend. But then I remember that quote that I told you, Ali, when it comes to triangulation of people trying to interrupt with your lives, saying that, listen, if you're not feeding me, if you're not financially supporting me, or you're not fucking me, then you have no say in what makes me happy.
Yeah.
So I would definitely be the best man. And on that note, we got to end it at that. So thanks for joining the Social Dilemma. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to be giving you your voices back. You can have a chat and debate. Stick around. You can go to the Greek Tavern on the right. Make sure you join VR Digital Citizens on Facebook group for getting reminders on when these events are. And once again, thanks a lot for being here. And with my co-host, Ali.
Enjoy the rest of your Monday.
Thanks, guys. Carry on the conversation if you want.
See you on Thursday.
Yes, oh my brain. It's going to be awesome. We're talking about blockchain and how it will rule the world. Oh, it's going to be great. Ciao from me.
Bye, guys.